Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet. Welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and today we'll be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling. And I just want to say, that's the first time in a long time I've gotten that one on the first try.
How many tries did it just take me to get the first half?
Maybe 3, but it's okay. Yeah. I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you too.
For getting that
for sure.
First try so cleanly. But yeah, it's December. It's the holidays.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
You're officially done with the semester. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Will be done soon. Fingers crossed.
Pretty much everyone else I've talked to has also been like, I have one more week. And I'm like, submitting final paper.
Yeah.
And done.
I mean, once I get my final assignments done, which I'm hoping to get done today, fingers crossed, I just have to go to class next week. So, and then I'll be done, which is great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
For sure.
But today, we are going to talk about a certain show that just finished airing its second and final season. And that is Arcane.
My goodness.
What a show. So if you aren't familiar, Arcane is a TV show.
On Netflix.
On Netflix. It's a Netflix original, and it's about League of Legends, which is a video game.
That I've never played. Have you ever played?
Me neither.
Yeah.
No. So this show has no business being this good.
Right.
But it is.
Right.
And I'm obsessed.
Blake and I were trying to sell it to one of his sisters over Thanksgiving. And we're like, it's based on a video game, which is automatically like not her thing.
Yeah.
But we were
doesn't matter.
But it's like the social commentary of like, and the commentary on classism and it's just really fascinating.
Yes. It's become one of my favorite shows. But before we talk about Arcane, I do want to mention really quick that, just for housekeeping things, what's going on with the read along, because we just finished Tress of the Emerald Sea. So if you hadn't noticed, you can find that episode in all the places with our finale for that and our how we rated the book and all that good stuff, our final thoughts. But our next one is going to be Poppy War.
Yes, by R.F. Kuang.
And we're going to take a little bit of a break before we jump into that because, some of us do still have schoolwork happening. And
some of us
holidays
just need a break.
and holidays are intense. So, yeah, we're getting a little bit of a break. But, beginning of next year, we're going to jump in with Poppy War for the read-along. So now you know what the next book is. You can get your hands on that. You have a little more time to get your hands on that this time. But yeah. So, with that out of the way, Arcane, dude. And spoilers, obviously. We're going to talk about this whole season. And if you haven't even seen the first season, stop. Go watch. You can binge the whole thing now. You have no excuse. Go watch it all. Yeah. But no, spoilers abound ahead. Yes. You've been warned.
Yes.
So, season 2.
I feel like I should have watched season 1 again because it has been a few years since it dropped.
Yeah, it has been.
And I felt a little confused jumping back in without having a breather or a refresher. And also, Echo's character, totally forgot he existed in the first season. So I was like, who's this rando? And Blake was like, we have known him.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my bad. Should have refreshed.
I definitely saw some recap stuff like on TikTok and on YouTube beforehand. I didn't rewatch, but I refamiliarized myself with what was happening with the plot. I just remembered that it ended with the cliffhanger with her shooting her big missile launcher at the council building.
Right. I remember that as well.
And I knew that's where it ended, but I just needed a little refresher on building up to that.
Right.
But yeah, so maybe we can just kind of take this in chunks because that's kind of how the show was released. So like the first 3 episodes, that is what ended with Caitlyn kind of being given ultimate authority.
Yeah, that was weird.
In Piltover. There was a lot of drama going down with like the Zon people attacking in mid-memorial service for the people that died in the missile launcher fiasco. Vi becoming an enforcer.
Jinx has become like an icon for the people of Vaughn.
Yeah.
Everyone's dyeing their hair blue. Which she's wholly unaware of for a long time. She's kind of isolated herself and isn't interacting. So when she sees that, it's kind of a, like, what? Moment for her. What is happening right now?
And it was... I didn't expect her to, like, go underground so much. Like, I kind of thought that her shooting a rocket at the council building was kind of her way of making a big splash, and I thought she was going to, like, kind of crash out on the scene in a big way after that. But no, it was very, like, who did that? I don't know. And then she, like, never claimed credit or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, people knew that it was her based off of, you know, the signs. Like, there was never a doubt with, like, Vi and Caitlyn or Jace. Like, they all knew.
Yeah.
But, man, also Victor. Can't forget about Victor.
Yeah. What is happening?
Like, Jace uses the creepy hex core and puts him in a gelatinous cube.
Right. And then he emerges from the cube, half robot, half Jesus.
Yeah.
Not actually Jesus, obviously, but was kind of like a savior complex.
But he's able to, like, use his arcane powers to heal people. Like, there was these shimmer addicts that he healed, and he's, like, starting this cult.
Yeah, I mean, he leaves Jace barefoot with a cloak and a cane, and then he wanders out to nowhere and starts healing people. I'm like, ooh, we're definitely getting Jesus vibes from this.
Yeah.
There's a very clear image that they're evoking with this.
His cane was a little bit taller, and it kind of looked like a shepherd's crook, and it was like...
Well, and his first person he heals is like, I'm not saying this person had leprosy, but it was giving leprosy.
Yeah.
So, because it's like, they don't say what they have. They're outcasts that are clearly sick.
Well, they are the shimmer addict people.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
It looked like, anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they were sickly underground homeless people that he came and healed, and big dramatic moment.
And proselytized.
Right. There was some conflict about, like, Caitlyn trying to get Vi to become an enforcer and help her hunt Jinx down. That, like, all that drama, you know, I don't know. It felt weird trying to, like, force Vi to become a cop, you know?
Well, it didn't go well, so not surprising.
It didn't. The memorial happens. Well, no, before that, they kind of go on this crusade to, like...
Yeah. Super disturbing, because they've got the, like, smoke bombs. They're using the gray, I assume.
Yes, they are.
To infiltrate Vaughn and try and track Jinx down and the other, like, crime underlords or whatever.
Her mom, who had, like, made these ventilation systems because everybody deserves to breathe clean air.
Yeah.
And it was like this humanitarian effort that her mom did, and she just totally turns that against the populace and uses it to, like, gas out people and, like, try to get Jinx. Yeah.
Like, straight up
smoke her out.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that was kind of a red flag. that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn is clearly okay. That was the other thing. Her mom dies. Super sad. Like, not denying that for her. Very traumatic. Right. Girl's allowed to feel her feelings, but the complete disregard for everybody else that came out of that was wild.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people commenting on that online. Like, Vi also lost her parents,
right?
And they were
and her
killed
sister.
But Caitlyn is acting like she's the only one in the story whose mom has died or been killed.
Right. I mean, I know that Jinx is still alive, but Vi feels like she has lost her.
Right.
So she's grieving that. And it was like, and Caitlyn's mom wasn't the only one that died. So it's like,
exactly.
There are, obviously, the show does show several other ways other people that were impacted are coping. Like we've got the drug use, the one council guy, and there's a lot happening. But she flipped to fascism so quickly. It's absolutely wild.
And it was like she suffered like 10% of what the average person who lives in Vaughn has suffered in their life, and her reaction was to go complete authoritarian.
Yeah.
And use deadly force to accomplish her goals, and because she was in a position of power and privilege where she could do that.
Yeah, girl had zero coping skills.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So.
Crazy. That actually did happen after the memorial service, though, because the team that gets assembled to do that is at the memorial.
Oh, right.
Like a red-haired girl and the fish-looking guy.
Right.
And the big brawny guy. They're all at the memorial service.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
I had forgotten that too. But which the attack on the memorial service, which the Noxian lady Mbessa orchestrated. Ugh. Her character
pretty awful.
Was diabolical.
Before we get too far into this, I want to talk a little bit about the way they structured the episodes, because the first, however many minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes longer, before they cut to the credit or the title sequence. So the first couple episodes, I thought they were just artistic things they were doing, but actually they were delivering heavy amounts of exposition in those first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you weren't actively paying attention to what was happening, you very quickly would be very confused by where the episode would start.
Yeah, the animators were very deliberate with everything that was on the screen.
Yes. So I've maybe figured that out a couple episodes in and was like, oh my gosh, I have to pay attention to this. I thought it was Spider-Man, where they do cool things in the beginning just for the sake of doing cool things. But no, this was we're telling a big part of the story right now.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, you're going to be very confused. So, anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But the Noxian lady.
Yeah, so she orchestrates this whole thing and then basically orchestrates this catastrophe that we then need a savior to bring us back from, in which she
nominates Caitlyn.
Nominates
My
Caitlyn.
assumption is that she nominates Caitlyn because I feel like it was very calculated for her. And she saw Caitlyn as someone who was malleable. Which I don't know if Caitlyn turned out to be as malleable as she thought she was, but she certainly was for a little bit.
Yeah. During the next 3 episodes, certainly.
Yeah.
It's just, man, she just really bought into it hook, line, and sinker for a while. And I mean, I know Mbessa just thought, I'm going to take advantage of this girl's grief. She lost her mother. She's angry, and I can use that.
For sure.
So I'm going to manufacture this outrage and then sweep in and save the day with my troops so people will see us as saviors as well. And then I'll use Caitlyn's grief to get what I want. Very cold and calculated.
Yes. She's a scary lady.
Terrifying, truly.
Anytime she was on screen, I was like, oh no.
And, like, I don't blame Mel for running away from home.
No.
To live in Piltover because her mom is not it.
Agreed.
So, yeah, Caitlyn is, at that point, like, the military leader of all of Piltover. And Victor's starting a cult. Vi ends up leaving the Enforcer gang because of all that fun stuff.
Jinx has also found a little buddy.
Oh.
On accident.
Isha.
Yeah.
Isha.
What a cool representation Isha was for nonverbal folks.
That was really cool.
That was really cool. Her whole story, when she is saved by Jinx and then like starts kind of idolizing her and following her around until she's like becomes her adopted sister. As she starts following Jinx, I was like, oh man, honey, this lady, I know she seems cool, but she is on a super destructive path, and you should not be following her.
Yeah.
She's on a path to nowhere good.
It was like Jinx, like her younger self, like Powder. It was like Powder trying to come back and like warming her way into Jinx's life and like making her feel again.
Yeah.
And it was so adorable.
So Isha was exactly what Jinx needed, but I do not know if Jinx was what Isha needed. But they loved each other, so
they did. And I mean, I think that really Jinx was trying to be a better older sister.
Yes.
To her than
For
Vi
sure.
was.
100%. 100% she was trying to right the wrongs that she felt Vi had committed against her.
Yeah.
And I think was fairly successful with that. Just the problem being that Jinx is in the middle of like a crazy uprising on accident.
Right. There's also some wacky stuff that I'm remembering with the Hex Gates and Jace and Heimerdinger and Echo.
Yeah.
They get sucked in to Arcane limbo.
Yeah. Like alternate realities.
And that like affects the fight between Caitlyn, Vi, Jinx, and what's her name? The mechanical arm lady.
I can't think of her name either.
That's unfortunate. All I can think of is Mbessa. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's like some weird arcane stuff happening with like their arcane weapons, like Vi's gauntlets and Caitlyn's gun and all this stuff is like on the fritz during that fight. And then those three, Jace and Echo and Heimerdinger, get sucked into craziness, which we don't actually like see.
Most of, yeah.
It takes a little bit before we see them again.
Right. Well, when we see Jace again, he's just clearly a different person. He shows back up and he seems
traumatized.
He seems very chaotic. And then we find out what happened, and it's a little less chaotic than it seemed. But man, there's also the Vander stuff, which was super disturbing.
So that's actually a character in the game is Warwick, and that's like all of that was like real for the game. Like Vander gets turned into Warwick by Singe, the doctor guy.
Yeah.
Like heartbreaking and terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Jinx being able to get through Warwick though to the Vander side was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like everything about that storyline was just incredibly difficult. And then the fact that Isha sacrifices herself to try and put it to an end. And somehow they reanimated Warwick again. This is very frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. That was... I hated that moment in the show of Isha doing the heroic thing and trying to save everyone. And the flashbacks during that scene and the song.
Beautiful.
And it was just cut your heart out.
Yeah.
Cut your heart out, stomp on it, and grind your heel. That's all that was. It was beautiful. Animated beautifully.
Yeah.
Man. There's a lot, I will say, there's a lot about like the Arcane stuff that happens that was very like wibbly wobbly, and me just looking at the screen being like, whoa, what's that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I believe that they had a clear grasp.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I want to think that they did.
I don't think they did.
Well,
that's just, maybe they did.
With how intentional they were with every other aspect of the show, I feel like if I rewatched it, which I should and probably will do, maybe it'll make more sense.
Maybe.
Or maybe if you've played the game, some of the things will make more sense
with
like possible. The magic stuff. But like what was happening with
Mel?
Yeah.
I'm very confused.
Her suddenly being able to use magic. I did not realize that she was a character in the game that is like a magic character in the game. So people that had played the game probably saw this coming, but I was like, huh?
Right.
She used magic to protect her and Jace in the explosion in the beginning.
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess it makes sense. I was wondering how they survived.
Right.
Since they were like the closest to the missile.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean maybe they do. It just felt like they did not do a good job conveying the mechanics of Arcane as a magic system, which leads me to believe that they probably didn't have a firm grasp on it themselves. But they were able to make it look cool, and that was enough. Which, yeah, maybe it was. Maybe that was enough.
It was certainly a spectacle.
It was.
So many crazy moments with the magic, especially in the last 3 episodes, where Victor goes full like Robo Jesus.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But I want to touch on the.
I do feel kind of bad about calling him Robo Jesus because I don't feel like what he ended up doing was very.
No, that's just what he looked
Jesus-y.
like. That's just what he looked like.
Yes.
But no, I do want to touch on the like the whole Caitlyn and her part in like bringing the Noxians to Victor's like commune, and like all of that is happening, and she is like in a new relationship now with this what's her name, Maddie, I think.
Yeah.
This other girl who's like part of the inner circle group.
Caitlyn is
man.
treating her badly.
Well, yeah, she doesn't feel for her what she feels for Vi.
Right.
She's textbook rebound.
Right. And I felt kind of bad for Maddie and how she was being used by Caitlyn. But then we find out what Maddie's going on. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. This was tit for tat. You were both using each other. This is awful.
Yeah. So the creators of the show actually confirmed that she was a Noxian from the beginning. She was Ambessa's like plant from the beginning.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
I mean, she was the first one to start beating her chest, She was. Like, man.
But they played it off that she seemed like she was just a naive, impressionable young person.
She was kind of giving Judy Hopps. Like,
yeah, a little. Yeah.
Like the really optimistic new cop who's like gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, a plant the whole time.
Plant. Crazy. Maybe they did know about. Maybe they do know more about the Arcane. I don't know. I should rewatch it.
That whole thing was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Especially for Maddie. No, Caitlin like leads the Noxian people to where Vi, Jinx, and Vander, quotation marks, Warwick,
are trying to get help.
But
yeah,
because they think that Victor can heal Warwick and turn him back into Vander.
Which maybe he could have, but at quite the cost.
I thought it was very amusing how quickly Caitlin switched sides as soon as she saw Vi again. Just like, oh, you can't stay away. You know who the good guys are.
Well, it's also, I think she's highly motivated by the fact that Vi's like, we're here because with my dad. And I think that Caitlin can relate to that desire for a parent now.
That's true.
That I don't think she could have related to before.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a big factor too. She's like, oh, I would have done anything to get my mom back. Yeah. Okay, I'll do anything to help you get your dad back.
Man, those 3 episodes end though with Isha's sacrifice, the big boom, but also we've got the crazy stuff with like Jace is back now at this point, and he is just doing some really out of pocket, off the wall, just smashing people, and he's behaving very erratically.
Right. So that episode ends with, I think that episode includes him thinking he's killed Victor.
Right.
And then Isha and the big explosion.
Right. And then we get the final 3. We finally learn where Jace was. He got sucked into some alternate reality where the Arcane like destroyed the city, and there were these creepy magic robot people wandering around, which we see again later. So it's really like he was in the reality that Victor
was creating.
Was like, he was in like the future of what Victor achieved. Which is so sad. I want to talk a lot about like Victor's motivations once we get there, because what a character.
We did also skip over the whole Vi and Jinx reunion. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all.
I mean, they're reunited to try to save their dad.
Yeah.
And they're finally like on the same page again for the most part. And Isha's there until she's not.
Yeah.
But they're finally back together, kind of.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened since the beginning of season 1.
And they pretty much stay.
Yeah, they're like unified on the same team pretty much for the rest of the show.
Yeah. Although
Caitlin does after what happens, she does like lock Jinx up. Like, come on, man. Whatever.
But Vi gets her out.
She does. But we can't talk about what Jinx tries to do after that until we talk about where Echo was and Jace and Heimerdinger and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Jace manages to like get out of what's the word I'm looking for? The
hellhole.
Like
can we say that on the pod?
Like the scary alternate reality future. Like he wonderful lifed himself, but not really. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He manages to get his way out of it with the help, we find out, of future Victor. And future Victor wants him to put a stop to all of this and sends him back. So when he like kills Victor in our timeline and says, I'm going to put a stop to this, like, just like I promised, it's because he promised Victor that he would. And,
yeah.
Man, my heart.
But
that creepy doctor's still around, and he keeps being creepy.
No, guess what? He gets a happy ending, folks. He got what he wanted.
Yeah.
So that's cool. His daughter's okay now.
Yeah, that was weird. She didn't love that. I mean, I'm glad his daughter's okay, but like,
how much blood is on his hands? Literally, like everyone that dies, it's kind of Singe's fault a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, Echo goes to the opposite of where Jace went.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the good place. He goes to
a better place.
Like 100 times better than what it was. Like his father figure is still alive. So him and Jinx are like an item, and Jinx Jinx isn't at least as mentally ill.
Jinx is Powder.
Yeah.
And she's a young adult, and Vander's alive, and
Silco's alive.
And they're still friends, and
Vaughn looks like not a decrepit, rundown.
Right. So what Vander and Silco were trying to accomplish, they succeeded in.
With the one caveat of Vi is dead in this universe.
Right.
And so Powder in this universe is like still coping with the death of her sister because it was on that job that they were on in the first episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just a weird butterfly effect of like if she had died, this is what could have happened.
It was kind of giving It's a Wonderful Life of like everything hinges on this one moment. If things had gone differently, then this is what reality could have been.
But Echo like body swaps the Echo of that universe.
Mm-hmm.
So him and Powder like in this relationship that he doesn't know about, and so he's just like kind of fumbling his way through existing.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Bro, what's wrong with you?"
Mm-hmm.
That was honestly maybe my favorite episode of the season.
It was very good.
Echo getting to live the life he deserved.
Yeah. And he does finally tell, Hemmerding, whatever his name is, Heimdinger.
Yeah.
Humperdinck is what I was trying. It's a different movie. Heimdinger finally shows up and is like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you." Like, but we don't know how long he was there in that reality.
I think he said it was several years.
Yeah, he's been there a while.
Yeah.
So he's acclimated and like figured it out. But so he's able to help Echo then develop this time traveling tool with Jinx.
Yeah.
Or with Powder, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they tell Powder what's up, so she's not like.
Well, they tell her that they're working on a different tool for this contest.
Oh yeah.
With like the hex core thing, the shards of it.
The hex core, yeah.
She doesn't like know for sure until like the very end when Echo leaves.
You're right.
And she sees a glimpse of him from the current time, or the timeline that we're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that was so sad for that Powder, because I kind of got the impression, and I've seen other people agree with this online, I kind of got the impression that like, Powder and Echo were like an item, but it kind of seemed like a flame that was like maybe fizzling out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was pretty short with him, and like a lot of the time before they started really connecting again. So it was like this moment of her kind of like falling in love with this man who like was suddenly like this different version of himself that was more appealing, you know? And they had that, like the dance moment and the kiss moment and him saying, "Can we pretend like it's the first time that they've kissed?" And then they kiss and right. But and then that just like makes my heart hurt for him even more, because he like, it was something I didn't really pick up on until this season. Like, oh, he definitely like had feelings for Powder. Like they grew up together. They were like, and like they fought in the first season like viciously.
Like there's a scene where Echo like has powder on the ground and he's just like punching her. Like they're fighting, trying to kill each other. And then, but in this alternate universe, they're like lovers, and it's clearly what he wanted.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh,
yeah,
my emotions.
Yeah.
It's very sad, very bittersweet. But like he got to experience the life he deserved for a few days, maybe like a week or something. Man. But then he goes back. Ugh. Back to reality.
Yeah. With this time thing.
Yeah. This time travel device.
The wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey thing.
He can only go back 4 seconds.
Right.
And the dancing scene where they're dancing and it's got like one of my favorite songs from the season playing as well. But they're like dancing and it's animated in a way where it's only 4 frames per second.
Yeah.
During the dance.
Yeah.
And he can only go back in time 4 seconds. It's just like, man, the animators of this show are just S tier.
Agreed.
So deliberate with every decision. Yeah. So, anyway, Heimerdinger, I think, maybe bites it in the attempt to get.
Yeah, it's not stated. I mean, he doesn't come back again.
No. And he kind of, it looks like he gets vaporized, maybe, but maybe he just gets teleported to another.
Hard to know.
Yeah, I don't know. He might come back. Or he might be gone. Unknown.
And if this really is the final season, we probably won't ever know. So.
Well, they're right. The final season of this, I think there's going to be more things in the franchise, just not Arcane.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
At the very end, but Echo comes back with his time travel device, and has to convince Jinx to not commit suicide.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because so while she's in jail, she's going through it, and is very distraught because of what happened to Vander and Isha, and everything.
Yeah.
And she's having these hallucinations and has basically come to the conclusion that the only way that she can make things right is by removing herself from the equation. Because she believes that she is the problem.
She thinks she's a Jinx.
Right. So Vi lets her go in the hopes that Jinx will join them in this fight. And Jinx is like, I'm sorry. I can't. I've just got to walk away. That's the best thing I can do for everyone is if I just walk away. And so then she goes with the intention of removing herself completely from the playing field.
From existence.
And Echo shows up just in time.
And he has to like keep using the time travel thing to go back 4 seconds to where she doesn't, because she has like a bomb in her hand and she keeps on setting it off. And it's just like having to like repeatedly watch the person that you love do that and having only 4 seconds to try to convince them not to and having to do it over and over and over again until you finally find the magic words that keep them from doing it. That is so just heartbreaking.
Yeah. But he does it.
He does it.
And then they have the most epic scene of coming into the battlefield as like the last cavalry. That's very cool.
Man, that was what a climax to a show too. That final fight of them, like the Noxian people are trying to get Victor to the Hex Gate so that he can enact his glorious evolution, which is a line from the game.
Oh, okay.
that Victor in the game is always saying his glorious evolution.
That's funny.
Because he's trying to turn everyone into robots, which we kind of see in the show.
But with the, like, he is trying to turn everyone into robots, but it's with the hope of making everyone whole again.
Yeah. He's healing everyone.
He's trying to heal everybody. His motives are very altruistic.
Yes.
Which is confusing when the outcome is so detrimental.
And coming from someone who like had a physical disability for his whole life and a chronic illness, and he just lived his life feeling like a broken, like unwhole version of himself, right. And then he wants to heal everyone of that. And he wants everybody to be able to run like he does in the first season when he finally heals his leg. Like he wants all the broken people to experience that, but he's just like not seeing the big picture of like the consequences and like what he's actually doing and what it's creating.
Right. Well, it's also very ableist. So like the idea that you can't have a full and happy life unless you're 100% healthy all the time is just not true.
And that's because that's probably what was beaten into him by society. And Jace, oh man, when at the very end, it looks like he's going to accomplish his goal. They're in like this crazy, trippy, like magic plane where Victor is like showing Jace. You can see all the people like on the magical threads and all this stuff. And Jace is trying like desperately to plead with him to not do what he's going to do. And Jace has the moment where he tells him like, you weren't ever broken. Like, that was just a part of who you were, and it made you who you were. And like, that's beautiful. Like you shouldn't. So he has that moment of finally breaking through and being like,
you were my best friend and I loved you.
Yeah.
And you also had a leg that wasn't functional for you like you wanted it to be.
Yeah. And they kind of mirror each other because when Jace is in the crazy dimension of everything being terrible, he breaks his leg and he like has a limp for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Just like Victor had.
And like a robotic element to it because he's fashioned.
Yeah.
Like a brace
like
for himself.
For himself, yeah. So they mirror each other in interesting ways. But no, it's Echo swooping in with his time machine device that he sets off going way over 4 seconds and manages to kind of like break Victor's mechanical schemes.
Yeah.
But before the big climactic thing happens, Caitlin is almost killed by Maddie, but then Mel comes in with her new gold magic stuff, and it backfires.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that fight scene was nuts. The whole final battle.
Yeah, with Caitlin and Mbessa was absolutely crazy. And Mel in the background assisting. I am very confused by Mel's whole story. I'm still confused about where she was, because then for a while I thought she was in the same place that Jace was in the alternate reality, but I don't actually think they were. They just happened to both be in pits.
No. I think so. The Black Rose person is like a game character.
I assume they are all game characters.
And the well, if they're not, like, you know, Isha wasn't a game character.
Oh, she wasn't.
So
they're toast.
But yeah, apparently this creepy magic lady and Mbessa have beef. And Mel is able to use that to win the fight and kind of like give her over temporarily.
But then just also she ends up destroying the Black Rose lady.
Or at least like lifting the mask or destroying something. Her influence in that moment.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, the moments of like, I don't know what's happening, but it's pretty.
Right, it's very muddy, but also looks very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, there's another thing I wanted to talk about was the big burly guy that Vi kind of connects with earlier on.
He looks like Vander.
He does look like Vander. He also
dies, but not in any kind of heroic way at all. Very anticlimactically. In like he was just this soldier doing his duty.
It was kind of heroic. Like he was trying to keep going despite being wounded, but
well, he didn't succeed though.
No, he didn't.
He was trying to launch like a cannon shot at the big sphere thing that was supposed to have Victor in it but didn't. To try to prevent them from succeeding, and he's like about to do it, and then he takes an arrow to the neck and just dies.
Yeah.
So it was just, I thought that was this really interesting commentary of like, yeah, like war is not the way it is depicted in these stories where people have these heroic last stands and achieve their objectives, or they go out in a blaze of glory. Like they don't all get the Isha treatment.
No.
You know?
Well, and for that matter, like when we first see that fight happening, we really start in the middle of it. Like it cuts in the middle, and Vi is trying to carry someone who's been wounded out.
Yeah.
And it's one of the Vaughn people that we see earlier in the show.
One of the Jinxers
who originally wasn't going to help and then changed her mind.
And ends up dying. Man,
and she ends up dying. And
so
like
brutal.
Vi's done everything to try and get her to safety so that she can be saved. And it's not enough. So yeah, we get quite a few moments of that not, and even the bit with Maddie, like that's not how you would expect Maddie to go out.
No, by accidentally shooting herself.
Right.
Because Mel deflected the bullet back at her.
So there's quite a few moments of that where it's like, ooh, whoa. Should not have happened that way.
Yeah. I've got a lot of TikToks I have to send you now that I know you finished it, because there's an impact frame when Maddie pulls the trigger to kill Caitlyn, where everything goes black except for like a white outline of Maddie, and she's like all white except for there's like this big white wide wicked grin across her face when she pulls the trigger.
Terrifying.
So it's just this wild representation of like, no, she enjoyed it, she wanted to do it.
Yeah.
She was merciless and cruel. If anybody had any doubt as to whether she had any kind of reservations about helping the Noxians, no, she was all in.
Yeah. So
the ending.
Which one?
I mean, mostly, Echo succeeds in stopping Victor's scheme. Right. Jason and Victor get sucked up into Arcane, who knows where, limbo. Who knows if we ever see them again. And Vander, who is now like creepy Robo Vander, is fighting with Jinx and Vi. And Jinx supposedly sacrifices herself to save Vi and take him out.
Yeah. I have been seeing more theories on that lately.
Yeah, I think that she probably made it out. I feel like the evidence is pointing towards her getting out.
Yeah, because there's lots of commentary on like the purple flash that she gets when she's being super fast, and how the animators have made a point this season of showing us how fast she can be. So we'll see. And
Caitlyn is like looking at the vent, like blueprints of the vent systems in the hex gates at the end.
Yeah.
And the very last shot is an airship flying away, which Jinx, or Powder then in the first season, talks about how badly she wants to ride on one of the airships.
Yeah.
So I think the evidence is pointing towards her escaping, personally.
She also comes in on her little hot air balloon, which was cool.
Oh, yeah. Her hideout was mobile. Who knew?
The whole time. Yeah. But yeah, I'm hopeful that she made it out.
Yeah.
I think Vander's toast. But I don't think Vander was going to come back from that last modification.
No.
Past saving. So.
Just like how all of the other people that were like robotic puppets of Victor, they were past the point of being able to be saved, I think.
Yeah. But. So yeah, it ends with Vi and Caitlin together.
They're together. Maybe Jinx got out. Echo is still alive. He's kind of mourning the loss of maybe Heimerdinger, maybe Jinx. You know, he lost a lot of people.
Yeah, he did.
Although there's now Vaughn representation on the Piltover Council. So like there has been some like healing and bridging of the divide. You know, because everybody was fighting against Mbessa and the Noxians and Victor at the end. Like everybody in Piltover. The Zon people, the Piltover people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great show.
It was very good. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it again.
I know. I'm like, I got to rewatch it now. I got to rewatch from season 1 all the way through.
So criticisms of this season. There aren't many. But I do think the pacing was a little fast in some aspects.
Yeah, I think they could have had a whole other episode at the end.
Yeah.
And it was already a longer episode. It was like 50 minutes for the last one.
Yeah.
But man, they could have ended it with a movie.
Yeah.
And I would have been very happy if it was like a feature length movie, if it was like a 2-hour long episode.
Yeah. And the like 5 minutes at the beginning of every episode carrying so much weight, I think. Yeah, I think some of that could have been. Honestly, I think if they would have like played those segments out to their full potential, they could have had like a whole other season. But
yeah,
that's okay. But the pacing was a little fast and furious at times. So
I agree. I think they did a lot, but they were moving really, really fast. And I mean, yeah, you're right. They could have had 3 seasons with what they showed. Yeah. But I'm still happy with what we got.
For sure, me too.
Overall, and it was one of the like best animated, like one of the best works of animation that I may have seen. It's like up there in my mind with like the Into the Spider-Verse stuff. Like
very similar. Yeah. In quality, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just some of the highest quality, especially that kind of animation where it's not 2D animation.
But it's also not full out 3D either. What do we call that? Is it 3D?
I mean, it is, but it's not. It doesn't feel like Disney 3D animation. You know, it's not Pixar. It's
right.
It's like it feels like it has more soul and more artistic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it feels grittier, in a good way.
Right.
And same with Spider-Verse.
In a lazy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
It's very artistic.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like CGI.
Oh, and the soundtrack, 10 out of 10 bangers, every single one. Oh man, it's been on repeat in my head for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, very good.
The music from this season. Did you have a favorite character?
Ooh. It's probably Isha.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting.
Yeah.
I did really love her. And like, I really like Jinx too. I thought her growth this season was really pretty phenomenal, honestly. So.
Yeah.
What about you?
This season, my favorite character, I think season 1, I would say my favorite character was Victor. This season, I still loved Victor as a character, and he made a great adversary, a very complex, you know, where like you understand his motivations fully. So like he was really good. But my favorite character, like Echo, really stole the show for me this season.
Yeah.
Like in a really big way. And I didn't see it coming, but man, he was
he was a really good character, and I loved the episode he got. Like I already talked about, where him and Powder where he got to like experience that.
I just remembered something. Because you were talking about Powder and Echo. We got that flashback of Silco and Vander and their mom, whose name I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And I just have a question. Because I don't know if I just am stupid or... Vander's not their actual dad. Or
Correct.
is he?
No.
He's not.
Adoptive father, basically.
So who's their actual dad? Do we know?
Like, he's not someone that's... Like, they name drop him in that moment,
Right.
but we don't, like, see him in that moment.
Because they also have the repeated line that those three have. That little crew. And now I can't think of what it was. Oh my gosh. What do they say to each other at the very end of that little scene?
Something about bedrock. Something about bedrock.
Yeah. The creepy doctor says it.
Oh.
So who is the creepy doctor?
I don't remember the part where the creepy doctor says it, but I'm going to have to rewatch.
Yeah. Because I was waiting for that to come back around, and then I was like, wait, I'm confused. Who is this guy? How does he know the three of theirs little... I was like, he's not Silco.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
But it could just be because he was with Vander for so long, turning him into a monster.
Yeah. And he was working for Silco for a very long time.
That's true.
In the first season, he was working for him. So he may have heard Silco say it.
Yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
But yeah,
talking about...
we did get to see, we got to see young Vander and Silco, and that was an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked Echo this season. I still really liked Victor as well, but Echo just really spoke to me.
I need to watch it again so that I remember that Echo existed before this season. I feel bad. I was like, who's this rando? Not a rando. Not a rando at all. Oh yeah, and his buddies were in the alternate reality. They were still alive.
Clagger and...
yes.
I forget the other's name. But yeah, they were there.
Yeah.
Great show.
Very good.
Well, we should talk about what we've been up to, though.
Yes. I'll let you go
before
first.
we wrap it up. For me, for what I've been watching lately, Arcane, obviously. Also, What We Do in the Shadows is on their last season.
Okay.
And I've been thoroughly enjoying that. It's so funny. It's so funny. Again, the hard sell. If anybody out there likes comedy and vampires and Matthew Berry, it's perfect for you.
Yeah.
For anime, Dan to Dan, still watching that one. I talked about that last time. I also watched a little bit of One Piece, and on Thanksgiving we watched the Santa Claus movie.
Nice, like the Tim Allen one.
Yeah.
The Santa Claus. Okay. Cool.
For reading, we finished reading Tress of the Emerald Sea. I had to read a whole lot of true crime stories from early modern England.
Fascinating.
So that's always a joy. That's for class. But also, I'm about to finish the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb called Royal Assassin. Nice. I'm like 4 or 5 chapters away. Oh, and I've never been... The series is a little more political intrigue-y than I'm used to. But it's done in a way I'm so invested in, like, making sure that the proper person is the king here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like so angry at some of these people. Like, it's really reminding me of like how season 1 of Game of Thrones made me feel.
Oh man.
But not like that
Yeah.
dark. It's not a dark fantasy, but it's evoking those feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, I've been loving that book. For playing, Baldur's Gate 3, I'm not letting myself, because they released a new update where you can have mods on console. But I'm not letting myself use any of the mods until I finish the playthrough that I was already in.
Gotcha.
And I'm almost done. And now school's out, so I can finally do that. Also, Dragon Age Veilguard came out, and been playing that. And of course, D&D. We just played last night.
Nice.
We almost died.
Oh no. Like a TPK?
Well, maybe not a total party kill, but definitely a partial, or at least two of us would have been, they would have had to have abandoned because we would have been turned to stone.
Oh my.
One of them would have been me.
Oh my.
And the reason that's such a problem is
You're
because
the
I'm the cleric, and I'm the one with the greater restoration spell that could reverse petrification. If I'm the one that gets petrified, we're hosed.
Right.
And that almost happened.
Oh my.
Also, Hope's character, Mosh, her warlock patron, got really ticked off at her, and now she might have to make a new character. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh no.
Because her abilities as a warlock have been significantly hampered.
Oh no.
Yeah, lots of wild things happened last night. But that's pretty much it. That's all of the playing for me.
Gotcha. Cool.
How about you?
Oh, let me get my list out.
Here we go.
For me, for watching. I watched A Biltmore Christmas, which is a Netflix original Christmas movie. It's very cheesy. It was very good. I watched it on election night.
Nice.
I also watched...
Coping.
Just wait. I also watched Piglet's Big Movie.
Coping.
Yes. It was silly. If you want something silly and light, the Winnie the Pooh movies have got you. That's,
of course.
Also been watching The Great British Baking Show, which is phenomenal. The season ended. The winner, beautiful. Not who I wanted in the beginning, but it's okay. Blake and I went and saw We Live in Time, which is that A24 movie with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
Oh, I didn't know that was an A24 movie.
It is devastating.
Oh.
Very good. Phenomenal. Will rip your heart out.
Okay.
And we'll do it. Like, I knew the movie was going to be sad because I had seen the previews and kind of knew, like, she gets cancer. And, like, I knew that was going to be a big part of the story. And that there was, like, yeah. But in the last 5 minutes, they really just rip your heart out. And then it cuts to black. And I was just crying in the theater. And all the lights come up. And I look at Blake and I go, I'm going to need a minute before we can actually get up and walk out of here.
Yeah.
So I am a mess. But it's very good. Obviously, Arcane Season 2. Blake and I also started watching Love, Death, and Robots. Did you ever watch that?
I know what you're talking about, but I have not seen it.
They're like little one-shot, short animated episodes, not necessarily related to each other than they're either about love, death, or robots. And mostly multiples of those. Some of the episodes, and it's kind of horror. Like, it's kind of got a horror bent to it in a lot of ways.
Is that a Guillermo del Toro thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry.
It's on Netflix. Some of the episodes, I mean, they've all been very mind-bendy. Some of them are very disturbing. In like a apocalyptic robots take over and it's scary kind of way. Or like there's one episode with this lady in the river and she's, I think, a robot. I watched the whole thing.
I've seen a clip of that, I think.
And it's scary. She's
Yeah.
scary. Anyway. I also watched Martha, the documentary on Netflix about Martha Stewart. There's a lot about that lady I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot. I learned that she didn't actually go to jail for insider trading, but for lying to the feds. And here we all thought it was about insider trading. But she wasn't actually convicted of that. It was that she wasn't truthful about some of that, I guess.
She perjured herself.
Yeah. So, weird. Also watched season 6 of The Crown, which has been out for a long time, but I just hadn't watched it yet, and finally watched that. Mm-hmm. And we went and saw Moana 2 in theaters.
Oh.
With Blake's daughter over Thanksgiving weekend.
Did you like it?
Did she like it? Yes.
Did you like it?
I did. I did fall asleep for a hot minute in the middle, but
the joys of being in your 30s.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I don't think it was because the movie was boring. I think I was just doggone tired from 3 days of Thanksgiving celebrations in a row. Mm-hmm. And I was and it was dark.
Yeah.
And it was warm. And the seats were really comfy, because theater seats are comfy now. And, yeah. But I think I only missed, like, a song. So, it's fine. Okay. I didn't miss that much. And it was pretty good. It is, I mean, it falls prey to the typical Disney sequel problems. Mm-hmm. You could tell that Lin-Manuel Miranda wasn't involved in it.
Oh.
Like, the music just didn't hit quite as hard. You could tell that it was originally supposed to be a TV show that got co-opted into a movie. Like, there were very obviously 3 distinct parts. But I didn't, like, Blake and I had seen several reviews going in, and we were like, ooh, this is probably going to be bad. But I don't think it was as bad.
Okay.
As some of the reviewers were making it out to be. The kids in the theater were all having a great time.
Cool.
So, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't as good as the first one, but...
Yeah.
And Blake's daughter really loved it. So, happy with that.
Nice.
This morning, I watched some Great British Baking Show Holiday Edition. That was very good. The new season comes out on Monday. I'm very excited.
Nice.
Okay. For reading, Tress of the Emerald Sea. Finished that. Loved it. If you want to hear our whole final thoughts on it, check out that episode, just like Joseph said. I started reading Zen and Gone, which is a YA book. I stopped reading it because I was reading it for my final project, and then I switched gears on what I was going to be writing it on. And I can't even tell you what was happening in the book because I don't really remember. So I don't take that as like a real endorsement, I guess. But
okay,
it's on my list because I started it.
Okay.
The Great Cat Massacre, I was also reading for class, which is a book about the influence of print history on French culture and other interesting stories on how French culture and the printing culture intertwined. Pretty interesting. If you're into history, would recommend.
Indeed.
Because it was written in a way that's very accessible and pretty fun. So, and then for playing, we finished Princess Peach at Showtime, which then unlocked a bunch of like other things you can do.
Nice.
I have Magic the Gathering on here. Blake and I haven't actually played that in a while, which is very sad, but hopefully we'll get to play again sometime soon. Mm-hmm. Still playing my silly township game on my silly little phone. Mm-hmm. Mario Party Jamboree. It's been very fun. We played some cards with Blake's family over Thanksgiving, and now I can't remember which one we played. Did we play 10 Pennies? I think we played 10 Pennies. That was fun. And, we played Jackbox games with his fam. Which is
classic.
So, yeah, That's what I got. Reading, watching, playing.
Very cool.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Good times.
Well, That's gonna be.
I've been watching Sister Wives too.
Ooh.
I know, it's so dumb. Anyway.
Well, that's 2024.
Ending on Sister Wives. No. You should go see that We Live in Time. It's really very good. I don't think it's in theaters anymore. But you should find it and watch it.
Okay.
But trigger warning for like fertility issues and cancer.
And that's 2024. Well done.
It's a better endorsement than Sister Wives. Gosh.
Okay, for real. Beginning of 2025, we're going to start Poppy War. Get your hands on that.
We'll have the schedule out as soon as I get my copy and can make a schedule.
Yeah. Until next year, happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.